Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
And what is going on, everyone? It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m., and you are watching Nerd Initiative Streaming Network for another edition of Nerd Initiative Comics Presents Turn a Page, the official comic book club of Nerd Initiative. What is going on? My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast, but I'm also Nerd Initiative's comics editor-in-chief. Returning to my left, you're right at home.
Coming at you live and direct, straight from a folding chair in the ODPH studios. 'Tis I, off the cuff Tom, your pop culture connoisseur, making the triumphant return. As always, it is a pleasure.
And to my right, your left on screen, one half of the dynamic duo of Giraffes and Dialogue that gives you that pop culture knowledge that you need each and every week. It's the one and only Matt from Hops Geeks News. Matt, what is going on?
Not Steve Jobs from hell, that's for sure.
What's up, who's
guys?
that guy below us?
Oh, what's going on? And returning to the show,
Fourth time
on
Nerd Initiative. I used all 4 of my 5 fingers.
I was gonna say, how many times has he been on the ODPH too?
The 90th time, and I have a fancy ODPH coffee mug that keeps me hydrated, and it also keeps its promises, much like the delivery.
Get the merch.
Look at that product placement.
Reasons.
Our fourth co-host of the show. I mean, or we should just be honest. Let's say
at
he
this
is our
point,
very
yes.
special guest, returning triumphantly with a brand new Kickstarter project that is smashing its predecessor's goal.
Look, it's Horus.
In the first day alone.
It's Horus in Hell #2.
He's one half of a dynamic duo that brings you the craziest stories involving the world's funniest named magician and the most devastating rabbit. Is the one, the only writer of Pocus Hocus and Horus in Hell himself, Allen Dunford. Allen, welcome back.
Hey guys, I'm so happy to be here. I always love talking to y'all, and I scream this from the mountaintops whenever I can. You guys are some of the best people on camera and even better off camera. I love this community.
I gotta say, it's so fun, Alan, when we're doing any of our episodes and all of a sudden we just see you drop into the chat. So either you really have a very boring Tuesday night or you really like us that much.
I'm going to pretend like I really like you guys that much.
Okay.
No, obviously, always love to come in and just try to show my support, because you guys do that with every layer of comics from indie all the way to the top. So I appreciate you guys.
Oh, man. Well, the pleasure is all ours. But like I say, the quality of your work and how much you and your team at Rabbit and a Hat Studios has been putting on over the past couple of years, and seeing this just organic growth into what has now become a staple of independent comics. I mean, let's talk about it first and foremost. We have the triumphant return of the demonic devastator himself, Horus in Hell. Yeah. And the Kickstarter kicked off today, like I touched upon. The link is in the QR code at the top left of the screen as you're watching at home. So make sure you click on that. Make sure you sign up. And let's get into it. I mean, going into the second project, what has been the emotions today? What has been going on?
Super surprised because Horus 1 ended day 1. We were talking about it off screen. Horus, I'm pulling it up now. We had 107 backers, and then it ended at $3,500 on day 1, which is kind of crazy, because I didn't expect this one to. I thought it would hopefully you would stay pace with it, but it's kind of smashing it right now. We're up to 123 backers and $4,300, $4,200, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So Horus #1 was our biggest campaign by far, and I always have to say this, because it just needs to be said. I hate all of you. And I'm so upset, because Horus was that character that we spent the least amount of time on. And he was just like our little fun throwaway. Like it's so cute to have a sidekick. And then he's just spun into his own thing. I mean, obviously we couldn't be happier, but come on.
Dude,
That's how it always happens, right?
It's a demonic not an Easter bunny, but it's like a demonic rabbit that's also like cute and badass. So like you had to have a feeling like you knew people were going to latch onto the cuteness right away. And then anytime there's like a cute animal that has some sort of like spunk to it, come on, the people love it. The people love it.
Yeah, obviously, a huge shout out to Kit Wallace, the series artist. Without him bringing his coloring and just his fun and energy into these pages, I mean, just always just thank you, Kit, for taking this project.
Now, speaking of which, I'm going to go here and say, before you tell us all about the stuff about issue 2, I'm going to twofold this, okay? So in Pocus Hocus, we have a wonderful little Webber friend, is always nice and neatly drawn and anatomically correct. Where did you guys get the idea to go completely psycho and just make him look like this thing? And what are we going to expect from him in number 2?
I'm
not, by the way, Warner Brothers, I am not trying to do any copyright. Thank you very much.
There's a cease and desist in our inbox.
Yeah, God, this stream already got shut down. Brian Belondo, who is our series artist for Pocus Hocus and Grandma Chainsaw, obviously vastly different style than Horus. But Horus was one of those things where I don't think Horus would have existed as much as he would have if it wouldn't have been for Kit, because Kit was with us since day one, when we knew absolutely nobody in the indie comic scene. We didn't even know how to get a variant cover from people who wasn't just in our immediate friend group. And then my letterer, Dave, he was kind enough to try to throw me a bone, and he reached out to Kit because they'd done a lot of work together, and he thought Kit would be good for it. So Kit's first cover for Pocus 1, he actually drew Horus on top of Pocus's hat. And then it seemed like Kit just kind of incorporated him in every cover after that. And it just felt like a natural progression. Be like, hey, let's have Kit draw a 8-page short story, because people were asking for a Horus origin story. We want to see more Horus, so we just had Kit do that, and then the ash can took off, and we're like, oh God, I guess we have to write a full story. So so we went ahead and asked Kit, like, hey, do you have even the time to do this, because he's so busy? And he said, yeah, mate, let's do it. And we went ahead and knocked it out. And when we were writing Horus 1, we wrote 2 different scenarios. First scenario was, what if no one backs this thing? How do we tell the story? Okay, let's try to set it up to where we can tell it in 2 issues. Perfect. But if it does well, let's go ahead and just deliver a full story. Let's have it with a 4-issue mini. Even for this arc, we can maybe expand on it later. Awesome. And like I said, the Kickstarter happened to take off, so we were fortunate enough that we'll be able to tell this thing in 4 issues.
Yeah. So
Any spoilers for 2? Any spoilers?
We find out why Horus is in hell and what he has to do to get out. And it's just pure insanity after that, because we kind of get to cut loose with this one. Not saying we don't get to with Grandma or Pocus, but with Grandma and Pocus, we're dealing with a lot more characters. We're trying to also tell this huge overarching story and build this world. But with Horus, we're following really one main character, and then of course his brother. And we just really just get to just be stupid and see what we can get away with and what people like and what they don't like.
I love especially that Horus's brother is Russian and he is not.
Oh, he's a Russian hair. Yeah, we thought we were hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought it was
That's
hilarious.
incredible.
It was clever to me. That's some
like,
deep cuts.
Yeah, this is the best joke I'll ever make. and then I peaked there. So then that's it. So if you
It was
guys
all
like
downhill
Horus,
from that moment.
yeah, if you guys like Horus 1, just stick there, pretend like the second one doesn't exist.
Oh wow, it's a shame that we never got that sequel, man.
I know,
like
it's
Master
terrible,
and Commander
isn't it?
all over again. But seriously, you guys are no strangers to Kickstarters now. I mean, look at that. You already talked about how you made over $4,000 just from one alone, and you've been crushing it with especially the horror scene and things like that. What goes into building your guys' Kickstarters as far as like incentives and things that you can give back to the people?
Yeah. So, I'll say this time and time again, without our backers, we're nothing. And that has always been a central focus, especially with the indie groups that I've surrounded myself with. Bad Bug, for example, huge into giving back to the community and what we can do. So we always try to set it up to where if you're a first timer or a veteran coming in and backing us, we want to make everything accessible. The biggest thing for us is always making sure we have a pseudo a la carte system where you're not strong armed into buying a huge tier just for one item that you want. I mean, yeah, of course we'll have bundles and everything like that, but we try to have everything set up to where you can just, hey, I like this cover and I just want this other cover. Cool. There's a 2-pack. You can get that. Or I like this cover and I want to add on a t-shirt and I don't want the main cover. Cool. Just go and add the t-shirt on. So we never try to price gouge or anything like that. We do try to price ourselves competitively and just always look out for everybody, because at the end of the day, this is my hobby and you're spending your hard-earned money on my hobby. And I cannot thank you enough for that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And like you said, you guys absolutely, man, like crush it. The books alone are enough to get it, but as far as merch and things like that goes, you guys get really creative with it, and your characters kind of speak for themselves.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we always try to write characters that are, if you don't like them, at least you remembered them.
Yeah.
That's like,
oh, yeah.
that's the big part, right? Especially with Grandma Chainsaw, we went out of our way deliberately to write this, just absolutely despicable characters. So.
Speaking of Grandma Chainsaw, no spoilers. However, we did see issue 3, and there's the absolute most metal scene I have witnessed in a comic book take place in that. And so, like, for that reason alone, I'm going to need you guys to go ahead and just keep making these forever. Like, I need Grandma Chainsaw for the rest of eternity, just because of the insane stuff you guys are doing.
I wish.
It gives you the soft and squishy feelings.
It does.
Yeah. I still have it pitched out for Horus versus Dead Squad. Like,
yes.
We need to have that happen.
So there's so many things that we've tossed around. Obviously, time is always the biggest killer, right? So we've tossed around the ideas of doing a couple of the blended stories. So I don't want to say it's not going to happen, but expect it to happen in some form.
Oh, okay. That
right.
was enough for me, because I mean I know when we talked last time, I'm still putting that karma out into the world, because obviously with the Pocus verse, if we want to call it that, describing the first 3 books, Pocus Hocus, Grandma Chainsaw, and Horus in Hell, like there's all that similar kind of vibe to it, and it's one thing to win over the audience now. Like we always hear in comics too these days is, everything is just, it almost has like a gloom and doom feel, but yet if you go onto the independent scene, like what you're doing, there's so much like good things to be surrounded. Like I say, the Kickstarter campaign, instant hit day 1. The excitement about the book is speaking volumes. And then just the characters alone too. I mean, to tie it back, who would have thought this would all began with the worst magician on the planet Earth and then Hocus Hocus? Like seeing where you are from that point to now. I mean, how do you describe that journey?
It's pretty crazy. You guys are pulling the graphic up now. Side note, to answer Lava Drake's question, the anime's dropping tonight, and that's it. I wish. No, as soon as anyone approaches us, we'll definitely do an animated Horus. I would immediately be like, yes, let's go.
I would like to offer my services to be able to do the voice.
No, like I feel like Prime Cartoon Network would have been perfect for an animated horror show.
Oh my god!
Like, we're talking Courage the Cowardly Dog and things like that, man. It would have been prime.
No, I think you put Horus right after Metapocalypse.
Oh
yeah. But yeah, no, it can answer your question, man. It's crazy because just to think about, like, because we started this journey in 2020, and Brian didn't start the first page of Pocus until 2021. So we're on a 3-year span, and we're already up to issue 6 of Pocus.
Yeah,
which is kind of nuts to think about.
And since we're talking,
surreal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since we're talking about issue 6 a little bit, what can you kind of talk about that to our listening audience here?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Pocus Hocus is a story about a magician who sells a soul to a demon to have actual magical powers to try to circumvent the whole process, right? Instead of having to learn it because his father was the world's greatest magician. Well, this journey that we're on with Pocus is his whole journey to get his soul back. And up to this point, he's finally made it to hell, but then he found out who actually has a soul, and we are in hell's version of hell. And Pocus 6 picks right up where Pocus 5 leaves off to try to figure out really how to get it back, and it's going to be by some means that he didn't expect.
Now, with issue 6 coming out, and you've already got the first 5 going, thinking from where we've started to where we're at, what's the biggest takeaway you've had as a writer or as your whole team has in creating this, whole storyline?
It's kind of crazy to keep the same team, throughout all this. We've all tried to feed off of each other, and I think that the big thing is we all try to push each other. I want to push the limits on what Brian can do, which makes me want to be a better writer. And it makes the whole process set up to where we're, me, Will, Brian, Dave, and now we've welcomed Carrie as our colorist, since we lost Jason. And she's just fit right in with everybody, and all of us just trying to really push the envelope for what we could do, because at the end of the day, whenever you get one of our independent books, I want you to look at it and be like, this is quality. These guys know what they're doing. This feels professional grade. I'm happy that I spent my hard-earned money on this idiot's product.
Do you have problems with self-deprecation?
Oh yeah, dude, self-deprecating humor. That's the way to do it.
That's my wheelhouse, first of all. Like that's my love language.
Yeah, that's on my family crest.
But it's something to deal with humor as well too, because there's always with horror, I should say, rather. It kind of goes almost hand in hand with humor. Like, what do you think is that whole dichotomy there?
I have a really dark sense of humor anyway.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just think injecting just quick whips and stuff, it makes the book for a lighter read. There's so much. I mean, granted, we'll probably get into it here in a little bit, but there's so much just bummer. Like turning on the news is a bummer in every facet. I just want to inject some sort of just humor or something that just distracts a little bit, just any sort of entertainment into anything. And I think just trying to approach anything, even when we're trying to tackle serious matters, with a lighthearted nature, I think it might be it feels right for me.
No, you're definitely right, man. I mean, you just scroll Twitter for 5 seconds, right? It's everybody hating on what's in theaters, what's on TV, and then you try to get a break from that. You go to like Facebook, and it's that friend from high school who's on their 17th marriage going through some problems. Yeah. And then you want to turn on the TV and it's some form of like awful news. So you're 100% right. That's what comic books are for, right? They're meant to be that departure from reality, and also give us like good humor and make things fun again. That's our escape.
Yeah. And again, and that's what we try to do with all of our books, even that's funny, even with like,
with humor,
just anything, like even from the crazy ideas, like a grandma with a chainsaw, granted, it's not the most original idea, but it's how we try to approach it and make it our own. Like we were talking about in the green room, like the ending of issue 3, I wanted people to look at that and be like, what the hell?
Yeah,
it worked.
It worked.
It did.
Yeah, I think all of us collectively was like, "What was that?"
And we're comic book professionals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
at least we play one on Tuesday nights. But
there you go.
No, you're right. And go ahead, Ken.
Oh, good. No, I was going to say, because obviously this book has got a lot of anticipation behind it. So we know obviously Horus 2 is in its Kickstarter phase now. When should we be talking about the next Pocus Kickstarter phase?
So yeah, what we're going to be doing is, now this is going to sound worse than what it is. Like we just want to get it over with. So after Horus launches, we're going to be doing a smaller campaign for the Herald, and then by that point, we'll feel comfortable and far enough along in Grandma Chainsaw number 4 to go ahead and finish that, because we're just excited to go ahead and get it over with, and I mean that in the best possible sense.
So you sense that there's an end to Pocus coming?
No, not Pocus. So we're getting Grandma out of the way, because we're ready to go ahead and launch the finale. It's going to have a trade paperback and a hardcover edition, And then after Grandma 4, we're going back to Pocus 6. And then after that, we'll be doing Pocus 7 and 8 as well.
Man, we're just such in a rush to just get grandma up to the home. Nobody
Yeah.
loves grandma. We're just such a rush.
Shady
Everyone's always
pies?
getting grandma.
Yeah.
Shady
Listen, we
pies.
just have to tell the grandma story. We have to go ahead and do it. It's just we're chomping at the bit to,
I'm
deliver
chomping at the bit
rest
to
of
read it, so by no
Yeah.
means am I complaining whatsoever. Like, I will take it right now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but Hazel is such a nice, sweet old lady.
Oh yeah,
She
she'd never
is.
do anything wrong to anybody.
No, I mean, she's so inviting.
And we got a Dead Squad member in the chat too. Love that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
And I know you talked about a couple different projects, but Matt and I were talking about one off air there. And I know he
Yeah.
kind of wants to ask you about this.
So Beneath the Lighthouse follows, the horror vibe, but it's vastly different. What is it that we can talk about this? Because, this is definitely almost kind of a departure a little bit from what we've come to expect to this point.
Yeah, this was a story that I just had it in my head and I just wanted to tell it. This is our version of, I guess, kind of like, an A24 film, as much as, granted, those
Alan
are
Dunford doing some A24? Dude,
well,
where do I
those
sign
are
up?
better than anything I'll ever write, but it's my sophomore take on it. Right. But yeah, so it follows the story of a man that's lost at sea, and he wakes up after a ship crash on just an island that just has a lighthouse, and it's a one shot, and it's just all confined within this one place.
Ooh.
So I wanted to really try to see what we could do from an atmospheric horror standpoint, and also just from jump scares too. Like, how can we deliver jump scares in a comic book? So that's something that we wanted to try to figure out and see what we could do, and really just kind of just test it, right?
Yeah, I feel like jump scares in a comic is something that a lot of people are almost afraid to do because I think it's impossible to do, which I don't think is the case. And especially kind of going off of some of your other writings, I think the chops are all there. So I'm wicked excited to see how it's done, especially on page.
Yeah, we're super excited for this one. I think we're expecting to finish this one up after the script for this one's already done. So we're expecting this one to probably wrap after Pocus 6, because we don't want to delay on Pocus anymore, because we're so excited to get back into that world. We feel like it's been too long since Pocus 5. We absolutely loved Pocus 5. Then we did Grandma 3, and then we were just like, man, let's just finish Grandma. Like, this is it. Like, because we know Pocus has a linear story coming up. So we're like, with this one, we know what we're doing. Let's get it knocked out.
Makes sense.
Yep.
And then especially too, you retain most of the team from Pocus on this for the project.
Yep.
Like, so how is the difference going in from the Pocus game planning for this project?
The script for this one is a lot more breathe room. I sent you guys the first 8 pages of it. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to look at it or anything.
No, look great.
I did, definitely. There's no way I was missing that.
Yeah. So we, like I said, the script has a lot of breathe room, and we wanted it to be really atmospheric. So this was kind of just a way for Brian just to show off and be like, this is his art on it, because we're just keeping it all black and white. So we wanted Brian just to have fun and just, I guess, get out any demons he had and just show us what he could do.
It is beautiful. Not a lot of, it's like the Clerks effect. Like, why did they shoot this in black and white? Because he wanted to, but to see horror done in this aspect really takes it back to that really good old school vibe, but it still has your guys' mark on it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, because that's the thing. We never want to lose our touch, or our thumbprint, no matter what no matter what kind of story we're telling, because this one's a little bit more serious than all the other ones. So, because it's it's also just revolving around one character in it, and then his potential descent into madness, just being alone on this island. So yeah, it's this one was a challenge for me too, and I like that, because I want to be the best writer that you guys pick up from one of my books. So yeah, I don't know, I just love trying to challenge myself and push myself forward.
And you have one more book to talk about, right?
Yeah. So we got also going up on here. I'm in the wrong thing.
Well, no, it's the Herald.
I got my question. Yeah, the Herald. So
Yeah.
the Herald is a big departure from your previous works. Let's talk about it for a bit. I mean, you got a whole. I mean, the first few pages make you go, huh? And then you're looking at thing, go, okay, time travel and time slips, and then next thing you know, it's whiskey and guns, and then scene.
Yep. So I was actually this is what's so cool about indie comics, right? In this community that we get to build with each other. A cover artist that we've used on several books, his name's Ruben Mosho. He approached me and he had this idea for a book called the Herald. And he gave me the overall plot for it and what he wanted to do. So then I took it and then I tried to inject some Allen into it. Gross. I'm never saying that word again. And then I tried to put in some of my ill-informed opinions, and then we just bounced some ideas off of each other, and then we ended up coming up with this story that we think is going to be pretty good. It follows, like I said, a stranger that comes into a town, and he's on a quest to retrieve an item that we get to kind of see him try to chase throughout time. So we have this being that's ultimately timeless, which is kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something too. Like when I first saw it, I was like, I'm not sure what to expect here. And that was something that really threw me off too, because I mean, obviously it doesn't look like anything that you've done thus before with the Herald and, or I'm sorry, with Pocus and Grandma Chainsaw. Like it was more of a serious tone, which
what's good about this is though, the beginning of it is relatively serious-ish. But when we get to issue 2, we get to really start having fun by introducing some crazy characters that I love to try to always do. I love making the secondary characters, because I feel like that's the stuff that a lot of people remember. But yeah, so what we're doing with this one is, like I said, we're going to be launching a smaller campaign with this one, following Horus. But on Horus's campaign, you can actually get that cover, and it's only going to be available on this campaign. It's going to be foil embossed, and it's going to be numbered, and it's just kind of a way to, I guess, pre-order it, because chapter 1's already done, the book's finished. So after the campaign launches, we'll be able just to ship it, which is great.
Ooh.
That's gonna be something to see.
Yep.
Now,
especially like foil covers, man. I feel like foil covers are a big thing right now that a lot of people are kind of buying into. Do you find that's kind of like the I don't want to say craze, but is that something you guys are seeing a lot more popularity of?
Well, side note, yes, I am a crazy cat lady. I have 3 tabby cats, and I cannot tell them apart.
I'm okay with this. I am the ultimate cat dad.
Don't worry, I brought a cat just for the occasion on the sweatshirt. Even see.
Perfect. So what we're trying to do too, like, because obviously we have Horus covers that are foil, and we have the exclusive Carrie Salveo foil cover and metal cover on the Horus one. But with this one, we want to try to change it up a little bit. It's just a standard cover, but the logo for it is going to be the foil emboss. So we wanted it to really just stand out that way. And like I said, this was just kind of a way for us just to test the waters and give people a sneak peek at what we're doing. I was able to send you guys the first issue of Herald, and I love Ruben's art on it, and I love his choice of just flat colors, because he really wanted it to feel like it was made and drawn within that time period. Because it was so funny, because I've gotten covers from Ruben before, and dude, the coloring is so deep, and then the drawing is just totally different, and then he shows me this and his concepts, and it looked like a totally different artist did this, but he really wanted it to feel like it was drawn from that time period, to really put you into that mood while you're reading it.
Speaking of periods, and I'm not trying to give too much away, the lettering, like that's that little tiny detail right there.
Are you talking about the Greek lettering?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the Greek lettering that Dave did. So actually, the first 8 pages of the Herald is available as a preview on the Horus campaign. If you just click the image, we pulled up there. So we always like to try to do a try before you buy, because the worst feeling ever is for someone to spend their hard-earned money on your stuff and be like, this sucks. It's like, I'm so sorry. I wish I could have helped you beforehand. So yeah, we have the first 8 pages up on there, so you can check it out. And if you like it, awesome. You can add it on as a PDF or add it on as a physical copy. But yeah, what we did with that, because we were trying to really show I guess just hammer in even a little bit more finite details. But yeah, Dave changed it up to have the Greek lettering when we go back to that period, and it's only for like 3 or 4 pages, but he knocked it out.
The detail has been noticed.
I was about to say, yeah, it's those tiny details, right, that people really notice, and then that just showcases the amount of love and attention that you guys are giving to these stories, because something so minor as like a little bit of different lettering,
Right?
People do notice that.
Yeah,
they really do.
It changed the whole feel of the page when he did that, and we were like,
100%.
perfect. Yeah, done. Yeah, that's it. And that's something that we even went back to later. Like the whole chapter 1 was done, and we're like, something's just missing here. And then he's like, hey, I think I got it. And then he just changed it. We're like, oh shit, okay. And then it's just perfect, after that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something that lettering it's almost like a forgotten detail of a comic, but it truly can make or break a book.
They're unsung heroes.
Yeah, like in all honesty, like it's one of the 4 elements of great comics. So to have that in this place too, and like I say, each book that we've talked about has a different vibe to it, different feel. Is that something that obviously you as a writer you touch upon, keep challenging yourself? Is that something that now you're talking about, like how many years later since you first started? Do you still have that challenge, like every time out I want to do something different, or is it just kind of like I want to finish my story where it goes?
Yeah, I think whenever you're doing this stuff as a writer, sticking to I don't want to say sticking to your original plan is the way to go, but sticking to the story that you want to tell. And then just dropping in other stuff that you've learned along the way. Like the ending for Pocus is vastly different for what we have coming up in this next arc than what we originally had the whole thing to be. And I'm so happy of where it's going versus where we had it before. And I again, that's challenging yourself, right? Like what's going to shock the audience? What's going to make them happy? What's going to make them sad? What's going to make them angry at you? What's going to make them never back a book again? And I always try to be mindful of the artists that I'm working with. So I try to write for their strengths. So that's kind of like Beneath the Lighthouse. I know that Brian, he loves doing black and white. So I thought that this story would be best told in black and white and just let him go as deep as he wanted to with these drawings, right? And whenever we're working with Kit for Horus, it's the opposite. We let Kit just go absolutely crazy, because how can I write scenes that have explosions of color on them, right? And just make a wow moment that way, where Brian has a different version of a wow moment, Kit has another version of a wow moment. So that's just, I think it's just being mindful about the people that you work with, because they're proud of the work that they have with us, which is awesome, and I'm proud to say that I get to work alongside them and try to, I want them to make me the best writer I can be, and I also want to push them. So I want them to look at this book and be like, wow, this is one of the best things I've ever done, right?
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I was about to say, Ken took the words right out of my mouth. I was literally about to say, no, that makes perfect sense. And I think that also like helps you improve your versatility a little bit more too, right? Because you're not always writing for color, for example. Like I feel like, do you find writing for black and white style a little bit more challenging than color, or the other way around?
I'm, believe it or not, I'm actually an optimistic person. and I think having color lets you express that a little bit more visually. With black and white, my immediate thought, and I know obviously not everybody's this way, but my immediate thought is like brooding, right? It's hardcore, it's metal, it's doom metal, right? Like when you're looking at it, it's because I've worked so much with Brian. It's kind of like we finish each other's sandwiches at this point, right? So like I know where I need to be for him, and he knows where he needs to be for me. So whenever I was first pitching this and thinking about it, it's like, well, I think now's the time for me to dial back the stupid, and just like go for just a story that is just moody and atmospheric, and it might even be a good just a little bit of like a cleanser right in between everything that we're doing, just to see that side of everything.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom. I was just going to think it's really important to kind of, because as humorous as we can all be, there's definitely a time and a place for humor, right? And if somebody goes in expecting like, oh, this guy's just going to do humor again, it also brings that shock factor to it. And I think that's also another thing that's going to be like, oh, wow, Allen's doing something a more serious take. I have to get my hands on this, for example.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, if this is the needle, okay, I read you more on the horror side. That's just me. Okay.
Right.
Horus is still it teeters back and forth, and we know where Harold. Well, we have an idea where Harold might be.
Yeah.
But again, seeing those first few pages, I'm still leaning a little this
Yeah.
way because something has to happen for those first few panels to give you that visceral effect. When can we see you like really go this way and like do something almost mainstream? God forbid.
Oh my lord.
I'm gonna ask. That's off the cuff.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Like,
In the
I would
name.
I would love to do something like that. I just think that how my brain is wired, which is probably a scary thing to think about. I grew up watching The Nightmare Before Christmas, right? That was like the movie, and I hate to say that because it feels like saying you like The Nightmare Before Christmas, it's kind of like, oh god, right? At this point,
that's
right?
like my co-host Lauren's like favorite movie ever.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely love it. A huge fan of Tim Burton. And I grew up loving horror just because, not so much of like, yeah, the killing's awesome. It goes a little bit deeper just because of like how imaginative
Okay.
it is, like with creativity, right? Like, the idea that you have someone that kills you in your dreams. Whoa, wild, crazy. And then, growing up again, watching Nightmare Before Christmas since I can remember, there's a lot of weird, spooky horror elements to it. I mean, yeah, it's lack of a better term, it's a kid's movie at the end of the day because it's telling a fun story and all this stuff. But I just love incorporating those elements just because not even so much just a scare factor, but just like a weird factor too. I just think it really gets to test your imagination, and you can kind of see where you get to go with it a little bit.
Well, then let's just leave the fucking needle over here.
Okay, yeah, we'll just leave it there. That's fine. Until something else happens, then we'll go for it.
Well, you never know because inspiration could always strike, and then
Right.
when you have that, you can always kind of shift gears and go. That's one thing about being very versatile, especially being on Kickstarter too. And what would you say is the biggest piece of advice that either you can give or that you've gotten about doing books on Kickstarter?
Obviously, be receptive to failure. I think that we all want to wake up after we go to bed and we've checked the campaign page 11 times, and you want to wake up and you see $300,000 got donated overnight and you're a success and you can quit your day job and actually have fun making comic books forever, and people will parade you down the street. But I think you need to be okay going in knowing that sometimes things aren't going to resonate, right? Like, trust your gut. Like when we launched Grandma 3, we knew going into it, like, hey, this might be one of our lower performing ones. Something just told me. Not that like we were unhappy with the book or anything like that. It's just time of launch. There's just so many different variables, right? But we have a good feeling about Grandma 4 because it's going to have the trade on it. And that's like, a huge Kickstarter buzzword, like finale and trade. Okay, great. I don't have to worry about backing any more of their crap to get this story, or if it's going to come out, I can go ahead and get the whole thing now, right? So that's going to bring in a whole nother audience, which is amazing. But I do think that also communicating, even when it's hard to, it is the biggest thing. Like, we've had delays. We've been late on delivering stuff. Like, even if it's just been a month, it still kills me. But hey, things happen. If there's an issue with the printer, if they send something and it's not right, I don't want to send it out. I have to send it back to the printer, and then they have to reprint new copies to send to me. So it's just, there's just so many different things. But just being honest with your backers, like, hey guys, sorry, we're running a little bit behind, but believe us, we did not steal your money. It's still, you're still going to get your product. Yeah. And just, not to sound like an oxymoron, but then try to deliver when as soon as you can too. So yeah, it's just a balancing act that you have to do with everything. But ultimately, communication. At the end of the day, it's all communication.
That's a very... Oh, go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so based on communication, would you say that, and then have you found like, because I know I kind of already asked this, but with your add-ons and things like that, have you found that those don't matter as much then? It's more about like the actual product that people want in your hands, and those are just like cool additional things, or is those like have to be kind of a more of a center focus too for people?
So add-ons are, I guess it's kind of directly tied. Now, this is my ill-informed opinion. I think it's directly tied with what you're selling, right? Because some campaigns when we have T-shirts on them, T-shirts don't really do well. But this one, the T-shirts did great on Horus 1, and they're doing pretty good right now on
I got
Horus
one.
2. Yeah, but it's just because it's the item that we have with it. It's the character, right?
Mhm.
It's awesome. And then we introduced the collector's box on this one, and the collector box is doing great. It's the first time we tried something. But I think if you have a good and trusted product, then people are actually genuinely fans of it, and they want to get the extra stuff that comes with it that they see is valuable to them. We always try to make something that's at least practical. T-shirt, practical. Keychain, practical. We're having a collector's box where you can store all your Horus books. Great. It's just, we try to make everything a puzzle piece that works together.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's also another thing that you and your team do really well for the Kickstarter campaigns is you do have the audience fully focused in mind, like with every action you take, especially like if there's delays, you're always very honest and upfront about it. And I think with each campaign too, you've really adapted to the market at hand. It's not like the same old, same old. Like you're very, conscious of how that is. I mean, especially too, where you're seeing now more and more Kickstarter campaigns getting started, more creator-owned. It seems like more of a shift in that for the market. And then, keeping all that in check, is that something that you see the market growing further into is more creator-owned?
I think so. Like it just seems like kind of being independent is sometimes where it's at, right? Because you definitely have the more you have freedom of control with that, and obviously shout out to Bad Bug for that, because they're doing a lot of great things, and they are also trying to push me to have not so much the best book that I can have, which is I always put that pressure on myself. It's how do you make a good campaign too, and how do you stay relevant and also adapting to the changes that are always happening in Kickstarter. So how do you make your own you're kind of the CEO of your own business whenever you launch a Kickstarter, right? And that's stuff you really have to think it through on everything.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that people don't realize, I think most people think, okay, they just write the comic book, they draw it, and then it's all right, we're going to push a Kickstarter and hope people back it, when they don't realize that it's a second job in itself.
It is. God, I wish I could time travel. Like I wish I could hit launch, I'm ready to launch the campaign, and then wake up 18 days later.
You just sit there and I'm like, all right, my work is done.
And be like, what do we do? Right? Because, running a Kickstarter, yeah, it's fun, I guess. But it's just one of those it's just it's stressful, but it's a good fun stress, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's the whole reason you get into this. I mean, obviously, like you touched upon, this is a hobby, but it's a hobby that you're very passionate about. And it's one that you treat as a real job, too. I mean, because it is. Because if you're going to take yourself serious in this manner, that you definitely want to be, come across to the audiences that manner, too.
Yeah, 100%.
And especially with all the books you have coming out. I mean, is there any future plans that we haven't even discussed yet?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, there's so much crap.
Horus versus Grandma. Horus versus Grandma.
Oh, man. I would love to do that, but there's other stories that we want to tell. One of the ones that we're talking about doing after Grandma ends, because we love the idea of Grandma Chainsaw so much that we want to write something in that vein again. So one of the things we talked about was Deacon Dan's Famous Chili.
Yes.
Which is a comic book that follows a church deacon named Dan who wins the church chili cook-off every year. But we find out that he's slowly turning the town into cannibals because he's serving people. So it's kind of like a Dexter meets Sweeney Todd type thing.
I love that idea so much.
All right, I'm going to throw this one out here. Now, we know Grandma's ending at 4, but here we go. I'm just going to put it out there in the ether. A network of grandmas all over the world, and you can write cultural stories.
Cultural grandmas?
Cultural grandmas.
That would be wild.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
It might be a little insensitive, but I'm just saying,
Writing it down now. All right,
like you can have
docket.
Like Stregonona, which is an old Italian story, but you could do a fun twist on that. I don't know. Just putting it out there. I'm an ideas guy.
Yeah.
No.
I'm really good at spending other people's money.
Yes.
Now, we do have another question, and if I'm jumping ahead, Ken, let me know. But there was a recent Fantastic Four casting. And,
Perfect thing casting. Perfect.
I mean,
don't care
for
about the rest.
sure. And then we have team ups such as the Thunderbolts. We have team ups such as the Suicide Squad. What would be your ideal casting if they were ever to do a live action Dead Squad?
Oh my God. I've never thought about that.
Let's run this down. I've got the whole list right here, so we're just going to do them as they were introduced.
Okay,
Night
you go
Moon.
for it because I'm more interested in that than because I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Okay, so for me, Night Moon, who's the first one introduced, specifically with the whole lettering, I would say young Liv Tyler.
I could see that.
Okay. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's really good.
That's a good one.
Okay. Doc X. Anybody?
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, it's got to be Cage.
I would say if we want to go for a younger vibe, all right, hear me out. Who's the boyfriend from Pitch Perfect?
Oh, I know who
Adam,
you're talking about.
Adam,
No, you're not. No, it's the other one, the actual boyfriend, right?
Oh.
I forget. I don't know. I should
But
remember.
he's
his
got
name,
that
but
sitcom on NBC now.
He took my girl Anna Kendrick, so I chose to forget him.
Yep.
She's a
Now, two-ton, obviously, I would say possibly like a Vern Troyer or Deep Roy, but even better, I say make two-ton so far out there, and if you had the money, claymation. Just do a claymation
Maybe
right there.
like, yeah,
and you
just
put 'em in.
just a claymation character running around.
Just to be completely different. Blood
Look
Sparrow.
Like look like Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, I was going to say.
absolutely.
that would be good. Yeah, the old school one.
Blood Sparrow, anybody?
This is hard too. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously the Dead Squad, you can go a lot of different routes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since they have broken away here, I mean, this is why we need Horus versus Dead Squad. Because you can imagine that live animation movie. Like, we'll just do an animation for him, and like, who'd you cast as the voices?
I was gonna say, do you have an idea for who would be the voice of Horus if they were ever to give it its own anime?
That would be me.
Honestly, I thought like maybe like Topher Grace.
Oh,
Would
dude,
be-
Topher Grace is
Yeah.
such a sweet, like, oh
Yeah,
man,
I think that'd be good. I think he could do a really good job with Horus.
that'd be awesome. I'd be so behind that. We need he's somebody who's like disappeared, but who's been silently doing like a lot of good work on YouTube, i.e. the whole stitching together the Star Wars cuts. We need more of him back. We need the Topher Grace Renaissance, in my opinion.
Yeah, that would be dope.
That would be fun. Now
Who did you have for Fury Chan?
Well, Blood Sparrow, I'm going to say Chloe Bennett from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Quake.
Ooh,
Okay.
Good call.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Shadow Axe, I definitely Bruce Campbell.
Of course.
Yeah,
yeah.
young Bruce Campbell would
yeah.
be perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be
Yeah.
perfect. And then Fury, I was working. I got anybody?
Palm. I'm gonna go Palm. How do you pronounce her last name? She's Mantis.
Oh, from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's give it a spin on that. I could see that.
Okay, I could see
I
that.
can work with that.
Who'd you have? Tell me. Whisper it slowly.
I'm just saying what Matt has because he had a good idea.
Okay.
See, I
Sweet nothings.
like it always kind of varied for me. So I'm just curious, like what you see, because I mean, obviously you hear these characters' voices in your head, and then you're kind of picturing them play out, and obviously getting with your team about creating them. It's like, did anybody stick out and go like, okay, this reminds me of this? Because we've talked to a lot of creators that like to borrow a little bit from pop culture and kind of bring them into play here.
Dude, listen. My weekends were spent in middle school and high school playing Friday Night Magic and D&D. So this is just probably like a lot of just what I saw, right? and going to like game tournaments for Magic and stuff like that. I remember Will and I wrote down the character descriptions for the Dead Squad, and we just sent them over to Brian, and then that was it. And I feel like Brian just had a grudge with somebody and he made all of these characters without us giving any direction on what we wanted.
I mean, you're not wrong as someone who is in many types of fandoms that like these were very typecasted type characters.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, they fit the freaking mold. Now, if I'm going to throw out here for Horus, E.G. Daly or Tara Strong, just swing for the fences.
Oh, Tara Strong would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tara Strong
Tommy
would be awesome.
Pickles, Tommy Pickles doing as Horus.
Mhm.
Think about it.
Yeah, no,
a
that's
rabbit's
perfect.
got to do what a rabbit's got to do.
I mean, I could see that too. I just always saw him having like a deeper voice.
I thought so. I was thinking the deeper voice too. for some
Like Danny
reason.
Trejo.
Oh, if you had Danny Trejo, I would, especially to go against the Russian hair, who's his brother,
Yeah.
like the two opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, give me that.
what do you say to this? I mean,
See-
we have the brother up here going, "Hello, hello, my little friend."
Hello.
I've always had Danny as the voice of the demon
Yeah.
in Pocus.
It's
Like,
funny
that's-
that you say that, Ken, because I
It's a good
remember
one.
whenever we did one of our first interviews,
Mhm.
and that was one of the questions. It was like, who would you want to see play, the Pocus trio in a live action or a cartoon? And I remember we talked about Gary Oldman being Pocus, and then we both actually had Danny Trejo for the demon, which I thought was so funny because it just made sense. I don't know, it made sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. See, because I finally remember the name Clancy Brown.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Clancy Brown is so damn good.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I think he would be perfect as Horus because you need somebody with that real deep voice, especially if he's bouncing off Pocus.
Well,
Yeah.
even better, like get him to do like a cutesy voice, and then when he gets pissed, he goes into Clancy Brown. I mean, you literally have Mr. Krabs and the Kurgan in the same actor. You've got the whole same thing going with Horus.
Hello, how are you? I will defend my magician.
With my life, you know. I'm here all week. Try the fish.
It writes itself.
It does.
But that goes to the testament of the characters you present. And like we say, we can't stress enough. Everybody needs to make sure you're signing up for the Kickstarter campaign, and it's running for how long, Alan?
I'm pulling it up. We have 17 days to go. So I have it ending on the 8th at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 8th.
So March 8th
Yeah.
is going to be a very big day if you haven't signed up. You want to get in the first day, and then obviously the last week, you're going to see a lot of media pushes here at Nerd Initiative for this book
yeah.
because we stand behind this. We are very big fans of everything Alan is doing because
Thank
the
you.
quality speaks for itself. If you are going to spend your hard-earned money on a Kickstarter campaign, Alan and his team are some of the best people you're going to support because they're doing this 100% out of passion, out of fandom, and really giving you everything you want from an independent comic that has a little bit of horror, a little bit of humor, and all points in between that you're definitely going to pick up and get your money's worth each and every time out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that because like I always say, we really do try very hard to deliver the best possible book for the readers because again, we know that, and it's no secret, and I know that probably some people are turned off by Kickstarter because of this. Kickstarter books are typically more expensive than you would go out to your local comic shop to pick something up because we're asking for more money for it, but that's because obviously we're self-funding, and we do try to also print on the highest quality paper possible and also deliver a unique one-on-one experience that you can't get from anywhere else.
Absolutely. Alan, why don't you tell everybody how to find you on the social medias?
Yeah, you can find me on X. Is that what it's called now? At Chaps of Fury. And you can follow us at thetophatstudios.substack.com for our newsletter. And then, of course, just follow us on Kickstarter. We're the only idiots that named a book Grandma Chainsaw. You can search that and follow us that way, or search Horus in Hell and follow us that way. If you search Pocus Hocus, they try to autocorrect it to Hocus Pocus, which feels wrong to say now at this point, but hey, you can still find it there too. And obviously feel free to reach out if you have any questions or do you want to see a preview of one of the books before you buy. Hey, more than happy to share one of them with you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you again for coming on. We're definitely going to be chatting in the very near future, near the end of the campaign to recap events and talk about what is going on in the Pocus verse. Matt, before we get out of here, why don't you let everybody know what's going on with you and Hops Geeks News?
Man, yeah, we're chugging along. We big week as the Bullpen Nerd Initiative team has dropped a really big interview. We Patton Oswalt, Jordan Blum, and Scott Hepburn swung by, so you can go
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was definitely crazy. Definitely a surreal, like this is our life
Yeah.
moment. Ken rocked it. Ken has hooked it up. So I mean, you can check those out. And then, dude, March 8th is another big day because Tony and I are going to be doing a MCU panel at AwesomeCon at 1:30 that day. And then the weekend after that, you can catch me at GalaxyCon Richmond doing a Batman panel and just goofing around between the breweries that are very close to the convention center and at the convention itself. So those are the next places that you can find us. And then tomorrow, of course, is New Comic Book Day. So, man, you want to read who cares about me? I want you guys to go and read what Lauren's doing because she is putting out some of the top, just absolute. I wish like my own mom loved me the way Dark Horse loves Lauren. That's just a testament to what's been going. Like she's so killer. So please read her reviews as well because New Comic Book Day is coming tomorrow morning, and we are going to have that right here.
Yeah, I definitely want to plug. Lauren was the MVP of that interview that we did with the team from Minor Threats, The Fastest Way Down. So you definitely want to go check that out and definitely go see her reviews too because she's absolutely killing it as well. Tom, why don't you let everybody know what's going on with you and Off the Cuff Brand?
Well, you can see me. Oh wait, sorry.
Where you can see me.
No, what's going on right now? Yes, I've got two articles coming up tomorrow for New Comic Book Day. One from IDW, and the other one is from. Why did I just blank?
G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah, that Real American Hero over land and sea and air. So two of them coming out tomorrow, and then in March, just coming up, we're less than a month away. Syracuse Collector Con. I will be doing the Power Rangers panel. You guys all know me, love me in the Power Rangers community. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be shifting in turbo and blasting off, rocking it in space.
Excellent, excellent.
Heck yeah.
And for me, and everything going on with the ODPH, odphpodcast.com, or QR codes. We love QR codes
Like
here
this one,
at
Nerd
Initiative. And you shall all be clicking
Or
on
this
the one
one.
above Tom. And that one too, as well as Matt's playing too as well.
This one.
So if you want to find out what's going on with the podcast, click over there. But most importantly, make sure you click on over to nerdinitiative.com. Your home for pop culture positivity. There's a lot of content on the way from the wrestling team headed up by Rich, a.k.a. the guy in the chair, who's done a great job tonight. The comics team, which I'm running with Matt and Marty and Lauren and the rest of the bullpen, they're absolutely killing it each Tuesday and Wednesday, let alone throughout the week. And then the TV department is blowing up right now. Shout out to Sean from Metalcore Nerds.
Yes.
Doing big things right now. And
I'm on that one
movie
too.
scene.
Look at me.
Yeah. We're making big things happen here at the home of pop culture positivity. So you want to make sure you click on the QR code, sign up for all the social medias, and definitely sign up for the newsletter, which will keep you up to date about all the big events happening in 2024 and beyond. Speaking of clicking on QR codes, because we have to do it because it's part of the contract that Rich has signed for everybody, do you want to get merch?
We like merch.
I think you like merch. So
Love
you definitely want
merch.
to check out the merch store of Nerd Initiative. Go support the brand with hats, stickers, mugs. You
Hoodies.
name it, it's there. Hoodies. I hear there's a Turn a Page hoodie there. I know there's a Wrestling Night Live hoodie there. And I know that there's a lot more stuff on the way as well. So you definitely want to make sure you're going out supporting that, especially when you're going to the cons, because it is con season. So you definitely want to be representing the home of pop culture positivity when you're out and about for those big events. Speaking of Wrestling Night Live, we definitely have to throw that QR code up as well, because every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Rich, myself, and Nick, our latest member, are breaking down everything and anything going on in the land of pro wrestling. So AEW, WWE, GCW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and so much more. We will have a take on it, and rest assured it will be positive and cut right down the middle. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. And last but certainly not least, there is a homework assignment that we need to give out each and every week. And that is, you have to go to Nerd Initiative on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Click on the bell icon for notifications and tap that like button to let the bosses know that you like the program that you're seeing on your streaming service. So definitely make sure wherever you're watching Nerd Initiative, whether it's YouTube, X, Twitch, Kick, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram.
MySpace.
I think we're on there too. I have to check with Tony about that. There'll be some investigation.
GeoCities.
Instead
I don't know
of
about
our
GeoCities.
top 8 is just our top 8 favorite creators of that week, and Alan's number 1.
Yeah, that week. Yeah.
CompuServe.
It could be. I mean, I lose track so much. We're on so many. That's why there's a nice link tree now for Nerd Initiative.
We've got a link tree.
Right.
Yes, we do. So you definitely want to click on that, and it'll take you everywhere you need to go to interact with everybody at Nerd Initiative. So that being said, we have a very big announcement for next week's episode of Turn a Page, which will be dropping Thursday. And in the middle of that, we have a great interview coming from a brand new book that's out via Image Comics that is a devilish good time.
We know those guys too.
Yes. So stay tuned for that in the week. So that's another reason to drop that subscribe button, and you won't miss a minute of the content when it hits. So that being said, Alan, thank you again. Make sure you go out and support Horus in Hell in the Kickstarter campaign going on from right now till March 8th. And as we end Turn a Page each and every time, when you're at the comic shop and you have a great issue in your hands, such as when you come in and you have an issue of Horus in Hell in your possession, and you see somebody struggle and find something, hand yours off to them. Tell them to turn a page. See you next week.
Peace.